Sean Payton's finest hour on Thursday Night Football. It was not.
Nope.
And we didn't like the idea of volunteering to be flexed into a Thursday night game in the first place. And we talked to Chris Harris on Friday. I mean, he was like flabbergasted when we told him he didn't realize that the Broncos, because it was, as you mentioned on Friday, it was unprecedented.
Yeah.
This had never happened before. The Thursday night games do not get flexed.
Yeah, it was the first time a team has ever been flexed in. And in order to be flexed in, the away team has to agree to play the game on a Thursday night, which was the Denver Broncos.
Yeah. And Chris was like, wait, what? Like, no, you hate that as a player. Why would he do that? Why would you volunteer for a second Thursday night game? And then the game goes the way that it goes, the end of the half sequence, decisions made down the stretch of the game, right? We talked about it on Friday. So Sean spoke to the media yesterday, all right? It's a little bit different of a week because the Broncos now play on Saturday against Cincinnati, all right? And he spoke to the media yesterday. Some interesting comments were made when it comes to the sequence at the end of the half. All right, and you guys remember, but just so we can frame it the right way.
Just recap it.
There's 41 seconds. The Broncos are in their own territory.
18-yard line.
18-yard line. They have an 11-point lead. They threw it on first down. It was a little screen to Javonte. It got blown up in the backfield for a loss of 3. It's now 2nd and 13. The Chargers do not call a timeout. The Broncos could have just went into half. They throw it again on second down.
They hurry up to the ball, by the way. They get in and out of the huddle fast. It was one of those like, hey, get in, get out. We're trying to find a way to get down the middle of the field. Sorry for interrupting.
No.
Like, so they had a little sense of urgency because they wanted to get the play ran.
Yes. So they are trying to go down the length of the field and get points. All right. I didn't have a problem exploring on first down. We talked about this on Friday. Didn't sound like neither did you, right? Exploring on first down.
Explore away.
And now it's 2nd and 13. The clock's running, but then they keep trying it. They throw an incomplete pass. Now the clock stops. Now it's 3rd and 13. Broncos run it. Soon as the play ends, now Jim Harbaugh, he finds $1 on the sidewalk. He picks it up. Says, we'll see what happens here. They punt it. You guys know, Traymon Smith, penalty.
Harbaugh hits the lottery.
Oh my gosh! and then you're trying the first free kick in 48 years. 3 points go on the board. All right, that's how the half ended. Ugly. Now Broncos came out of the half. They ended up having a drive where they hung points as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We were very critical on Friday. Sean Payton returning to this. Oh, and Alex, I do not see this here. I do not see this on the iPad. You're going to play it right off the computer. Perfect. This was Sean Payton yesterday morning revisiting that sequence.
You're trying to shift the momentum. So much was made. I thought that one of the dumber storylines was the end of the half in regards to us being aggressive with 41 seconds, 2 timeouts, and we punt the ball. The half's over with. I read more stuff that I just looked at and thought, this is garbage. Number one, it didn't shift the momentum. We got the ball back to start the second half, went down the field, kicked a field goal. We were back up 11. But this sequence, this area of the game you're talking about is the area that, as a coach, you look at and you get frustrated. Just, how do we put a break on the momentum that had shifted? And I feel like we could have done a better job there.
Okay.
I'll
kind of give you the floor. I mean, what do you make of that?
I really don't know what to make of it because football is all about momentum. You stop the Chargers. By the way, all right, Justin Herbert is moving down the field. I think it's on the 30-yard line, 20-yard line, 25, whatever the case may be. You get an interception from Chris Abrams-Drain. That right there helps you out. Because if the Chargers go into the halftime with a touchdown, it's a whole different ball game. But you don't. Abrams-Drain gets the interception. The momentum stops right there for the Chargers, and now you gain it as the Denver Broncos, as the defense gets you that ball back. You have a little bit of momentum to go into halftime with. Now, like you said, Zach, it's okay to take that chance at first play, which they tried to pass the ball, and it was negative yards. Why keep forcing something that's not there? give a team a chance to put some points on the board, which they do, because this game is all about points. Whoever can score the most points are going to win the game. So if you stop that momentum and stop the Chargers going into halftime saying, whoa, dang, this is a 7 or 8 point game. Like, we're in this. And you have someone like Justin Herbert saying, hey, I got this. We're in this game. Defense, get me another stop, and let's go down there and score because the Denver defense is bland. They're not playing well, and I'm getting ready to tear them up. I'm getting ready to carve them up like a turkey. That's pretty much what Justin Herbert's thinking. And so for me, for someone like Sean, it's like, why is that silly for us to come here and say the momentum shifted because of that play, because of bad coaching, because that was a bad game management play from a head coach?
It was.
And instead of Sean just taking ownership of it, you want to sit here and poop on the idea of everybody saying it was a bad play, a bad managed play by a head coach. I don't get it. Like, I really don't. Just say, hey, it was a bad play. I regret it, and move on.
Yeah, and Phil, we're going to be synced up on this thing because mistakes happen during games. Mike Tomlin makes mistakes. John Harbaugh makes mistakes. Andy Reid makes mistakes. Mike Shanahan made mistakes. It's a game. It's such a fluid 11 on 11. You got 100 players are playing on a game day. Mistakes are going to happen. Moves quickly. This actually bothers me personally as much after the fact as it actually occurring in the game, because you have the time to let the dust settle and self-scout and watch the film and say, man, could have handled that better. That's a learning experience for us. And instead, he's digging his heels in. And you know who would do this? Vic Fangio.
Oh, Vic.
There was one time where Vic admitted something after the game that he would like to have back, and then came back on a Monday and said, you want to know what? I wouldn't have changed anything. It was like, wait, whoa, no. And not like this is going to be a week-by-week occurrence. It's so rare that this happened. But instead of
owning it,
and to fix a problem, you have to admit that you have one first. And for Sean to dig his heels in and say, like, and you want to know what's crazy? He's like, this is a dumber storyline. We didn't lose momentum. But at the end of his answer there, he admits that they lost momentum and had to get it back in the second half, which you give credit that they did have a drive that led to 3 points. But guess what? It doesn't work like that. Sports don't work like that. Well, you gave up 3 here where you shouldn't have, but then you got the 3 back. No, you should have never given up the 3. Guess how many points the Broncos lost by? 3. So, like, I see on the RamosLaw.com text line, and put your name on it, we'll give you a shout out. Why do you choose to see the negative about Thursday night? Are you watching all the teams with issues? We're much better this year than last year. It's a process that doesn't happen overnight. I respect your viewpoint to look at it that way.
For sure.
But it did matter. It mattered a lot.
Well, look at it now, Zach. What's the probability of us getting in right now, Zach?
It dropped 7% over the weekend. It's 75%.
Why? Because we didn't win the game against the Chargers on a Thursday night, which we elected to play. Which Sean said, hey, let's go ahead, flex us in, and play on prime time. All right, get into the game. You're doing well. And then all of a sudden, because football is all about momentum and swinging momentum in your favor, you have a situation where you have 41 seconds. You drop the ball, bad management. The Chargers end up getting points out of it. The momentum swings because of it. It's that simple. And you can act like, hey, like, why are we choosing to see the negative part? Like, why are we choosing not to see what's right in front of us? Why are we trying to ignore what honestly got us hurt? I don't understand that.
No. And even the function of the quote now, because I want to play it again here in a second, you're dumping on people who are calling the momentum shift and that there was a shift of momentum. It's dumb. Man, I read so much dumb stuff, and we'll actually get to that little quote here in a second because I think it's interesting. Listen to the quote again. Tell me if I'm taking crazy pills. He calls it dumb that people are mentioning that the momentum flipped, but at the end of it says, man, as a coach, it is frustrating. That sequence is frustrating because of the change of momentum. Listen to it again.
You're trying to shift the momentum. So much was made. I thought that one of the dumber storylines was the end of the half in regards to us being aggressive with 41 seconds, 2 timeouts, and we punt the ball. The half's over with. I read more stuff that I just looked at and thought, this is garbage. Number one, it didn't shift the momentum. We got the ball back to start the second half, went down the field, kicked a field goal. We were back up 11. But this sequence, this area of the game you're talking about is the area that, as a coach, you look at and you get frustrated. Just, how do we put a break on the momentum that had shifted? And I feel like we could have done a better job there.
Holy crap.
I don't know.
No, seriously.
It's crazy. I don't
seriously,
know.
it's like what Sean, stop. Just stop. Sean Payton is a brilliant football mind. Sean Payton has forgot more football than I could ever possibly know.
Really good coach.
But the lack of humility from Sean, you are not perfect. You are not God's gift to coaching. You are a really good coach, potential Hall of Fame coach that I believe is the right guy to turn around this a football operation. I think the turnaround has started. But it doesn't mean you're perfect. Stop.
Well, you know what? What this tells me as a player, when you're in that auditorium the next day and you're feeling bad about it, you got your hood on. You're like, what's getting ready to happen? What's gonna happen in the film meetings? What did I do wrong? And you wait there for your head coach to walk up in front of the room to kind of tell you like, hey, the game didn't go the way we wanted it to, and here's why. But you respect the coach when he say, hey, look, guys, I messed up. We all messed up in the game, and we're gonna talk about it. But let me point out what I did wrong that could have hurt us and honestly could have helped us if I would have done this a little better. It's a teaching moment. It's a teaching moment for all of us because we might be in this situation again, and we can't be on the other side of this if we want to win this next game. But instead, you go there and you say, for Sean, it's like what you're reading is garbage, and that it's not about momentum swings, but yet then you talk about how you need to find a way to get some momentum back in your favor.
Right, it is. And watch this. Watch how easy this is. I just made a mistake here on the air with you.
Okay.
About 2 minutes ago, 2.5 minutes ago, I mistakenly said the Broncos lost by 3. They didn't. The final score was 34-27. All right. So, and try to put emphasis on something, I slipped up, made a mistake. Then boom. And then now we move forward. But for Sean, it's he just finds it difficult. He just finds it difficult, and I don't know why he would dig his heels in this way. But the other thing that I think is interesting, and it lines up with other examples from Sean, all right, is that this guy is actively searching out content. So when he says, man, I read more stuff, and he wants to use a different word. But when you say like when you phrase it like that, say you brought up I don't know, any random topic about whales. I like
you love whales, killer whales.
I'm into whales, whatever. And you were like, you brought up whales, and I go, Phil, I have read more stuff. I'm emphasizing how much I am entrenched or have ingested that content about whales. I don't know how much Sean read, all right? But you're an NFL coach. Why are you so interested in what's being said about your football operation? And this goes back to before he ever coached a game in Denver, he was responding to people on Twitter here that were saying that his staff was incomplete and behind schedule, assembling the staff. And he felt like he needed to go on Twitter and, correct one of our local media members here. Sean is just, he does care. I will say he does care what people say about him. He is not one of these coaches who is entrenched in the darkness of the season and not worried about the outside noise.
When Sean is doing well, he wants everybody to kiss his boots. He wants everybody to rave about him. When Sean doesn't do well, he wants to come back at people and say, that's not what really happened, or like, I don't like that. But that's with players anyway. Like, when you're doing well, it's easy to go out there and look on Twitter. Everybody's raving about you. But you fumble the ball, you throw an interception, you mess up somebody's fantasy league, and then you get all the hate mail in the world.
Yeah.
But that's just what it is. It's it's part of the job. It's part of, like, you sign those papers to be an athlete. You sign those papers to be a head coach. You're going to be criticized, which is okay because you're criticizing your team. You're criticizing your team, your players in that organization all the time because you want to get better. Sean, you messed up. It's okay, buddy.
It's all good.
It's okay. Pick up the pieces. We got 2 more games left. Everything's out in front of us. All we need is 1 win. Focus on that. But in order, like you said, in order to focus on that, you have to be able to admit that you were wrong so that you can make things right and move on.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
He is. What did he do for the 1 year he was out of football? Went into the media.
He was a media member like us.
You know, what did he say? The first thing that he said when he drafted Bo Nix. Do you remember? I'm kind of putting you on the spot here.
When he was like, hey, get me on the phone.
He said, get me on the phone with Pat McAfee. Like, who says that? You know what I'm saying? Like, Sean is just a different cat. And we know he listens to the station, which I think is very cool.
Yeah.
But I just, like, you could tell he wanted to get that off of his chest. I read more dumb stuff about it's just interesting. He's an interesting cat.
He really is. I mean, somebody needed to ask him about the Thursday night flex in. I know people didn't want to ask him that he was in a bad mood, and everybody wants to walk on eggshells when Sean's in a bad mood. But at some point, it's like, Sean, was it a smart move when all the dust cleared? Was it a smart move to play on a Thursday night on prime time when your team was tired, when you have a bunch of rookies that haven't been through this before, but you want to be on prime time for what? For everybody to see you, which everybody got to watch you, but you end up dropping the ball on prime time. And now you have a situation where you're not going to win Coach of the Year. Bo's not going to win Rookie of the Year because of a situation where you're on prime time and you're not doing well.
Here's the other thing, too. And I haven't heard this mentioned. Not saying it hasn't been. I just haven't heard it. This decision had to be made 4 weeks before the game. All right, 4 weeks had to have a heads up that this was going to get flexed. The reason for flexing in the Thursday was to give you more time to prepare against Cincinnati. Rewind 4 weeks from Thursday Night Football. Was Cincinnati a team that you really felt like you had to prepare for?
No.
They were bad.
No.
They were bad. 4 weeks ago, they're on a 3-game losing streak. And they're a 4 wins, 8 losses. Twice as many losses as wins when the Broncos had to decide whether they were going to play on Thursday Night Football. So the thought of, hey, we just want to give ourselves more time to prepare against Cincinnati, but not against.
Bull crap.
It just doesn't really add up.
Oh, it doesn't. And it's okay. You want your team to play on primetime. I get it. I understand. You want your team to be the first team ever to be flexed into a game on Thursday night. I get it. I understand. And if you would have won the game like you should have, like you were in that first half, nobody would be saying anything about it. But you don't win the game. The rookies that were balling out in the first half sputter out in the second. Why is that? You get tired. The lack of focus is not there. You're dealing with young players that don't understand the game just yet. You're dealing with a young rookie quarterback that you're trying to help out that's still trying to find himself in the NFL. It's just something you just don't do. You take all the time to prepare for that team. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And it'll help you out.
And Phil, it'd be one thing if you were the home team.
Yeah.
But guess what? If you're the home team, they don't ask you because you're already at an advantage. They have to get permission from the road team to say yes. Even though we're at a historical disadvantage, we'll say yes anyway. So it's really interesting. I said this on Friday. 2 things can be true at the same time. Sean, I hope, and I do believe, is the right guy to turn around this operation.
He's doing a good job overall.
He is. In total, overall, he is. And I'm wildly encouraged about the direction that this operation is going to go over the next couple years because I think they can win a Super Bowl. But it doesn't mean that everything you do, you don't walk on water. You are not perfect. And when he dug his heels in, I was like, wow, this is.
Like he's standing 10 toes down and believing that it wasn't the right, like what he did was right.
No, you're right.
And it was not. It's like, come on, Sean, it was not right. It's not right, which is okay. It's okay.
It is. It really is. It's okay. But so that was a little bit discouraging from over the weekend. His reluctance to admit that. But we move forward. And hey, but now you got that extra time to prepare for Cincinnati. You got to go win that game because now there's even more pressure on you to go win that game because of your reasoning for